we had a 55% rate of couples staying together after 2 years of working with us. They have to want to do the work and get out of the blame game, take responsibility for themselves, realize their spouse isn't going to make them happy. It just depends on where they come in that mindset. Let's talk about baseball players, professional baseball players, for instance. They're gone a lot. And when they have little kids, their wife can't travel with them like they used to. So it's putting systems in place that works for them based on that season. But it's being as intentional about what you do with your spouse as what you do with your workout program, your business, your profession.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got to be thoughtful, set a blueprint, and schedule.
Welcome to the Hard Way podcast with Joe DeSena, founder and CEO of Spartan Races. We're teaching you how to overcome your obstacles in your life the same way we teach our 10 million plus Spartans to overcome obstacles on the course, with insight from the smartest, most accomplished experts from every corner of the world. Get ready to elevate your life today.
When battling brutal Spartan obstacles over a mixture of muddy miles and tough terrain, starting off on the right foot means any foot protected by the lasting comfort and proven durability of Mud Gear socks. Mud Gear started equipping Spartans over 10 years ago, and since then, they've perfected the art of protecting your most valuable race day assets. From the way they fit, to the way they wick and drain moisture, to their strategic cushion and venting, Mud Gear socks are a must for any Spartan hoping to not just survive, but dominate the course. Endure longer and race stronger with Mud Gear socks that are made tougher, just like you. Shop Mud Gear at the Spartan store, at your next Spartan race, or right now at mudgear.com.
Joe DeSena, CEO and founder of Spartan and host of the Hard Way podcast. I got a special one for us today. Everybody wants to be an elite performer. Everybody wants to be a great husband, great wife. Guess who we call when we need to dig deep and find out how to do it? We call Amy Wine. She is a guest. She's unbelievable. She's been helping people. How many years have you been helping people become the best they can be?
About almost 20 years.
To tremendous success. You started very young, obviously, at 12 years old.
Yes.
You're in Texas, but you handle people, performers all over the world.
All over the world, yes.
What would you say is the number one reason people knock on your door? What are most people going through? Is it similar?
It's kind of funny because I do so many different things, but I was about 75% of the people that come to me, they actually start in the relationship category, in marriage. And from there, that's usually how people find me or are referred to me. And then I go from there, I do individual work with them. And then about 40% of those, I've ended up consulting in their businesses.
And why do we have, as a species, so much trouble with relationships or marriages? What's going on there? Men are from Mars, women are from Venus?
A little bit. It is a little bit like that. I think that I work a lot with high performers, like elite performers are top of their game. They're Olympic athletes, professional athletes, high-level entrepreneurs and CEOs. They have a different mindset. So I almost would say, throw most of the marriage books out the window when you're talking to somebody that is a high elite performer, because their mind works a little bit different. And because there's not a lot of help out there, the majority of them get into a situation where they're growing at a different rate than their spouse. So they are like, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm constantly striving for something. I hit something and I'm going to go for the next one and the next one and the next one. They keep up leveling. And a lot of times they marry people that don't have that same mindset or drive, right? So for that performer, it's innate to them. But a lot of people, it's external. They're not driven by their self. So that starts causing a lot of conflict of, who am I even married to? After multiple years of being married to them, I don't even have anything in common. I don't know who they are. So it's understanding that they probably are learning, but they're learning different things. Maybe they're learning how to run the house or take care of the kids. Or maybe they have their own business and they're learning things in there. They're just learning differently, but we want them to learn like we are. That's one. And the other one is the married roommate stage that I think everybody goes through, but it's totally not necessary.
What is the married roommate stage?
The married roommate stage usually comes after we start having children. We're both working our jobs. We're getting our careers going. We've settled in. We know each other pretty well. And then one day you wake up and you're like, I live with this person, but it might as well be their roommate because we're just ships passing in the night. We're talking about a whole lot of things that have nothing to do with our relationship. So you get disconnected. We go through the motions. We're busy, 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 but we have forgotten that our relationship has to be at the top of the list. And we've put the kids up there, the business up there, or whatever your priority is, right? Sometimes it's ourselves. And then we get into that stage and it's hard to get out of.
A couple of thoughts from what you said. I think about an article I read from Elon Musk's first wife. I don't know how many wives he's had. And it was pretty thoughtful because she was basically saying, listen, yes, I couldn't live with him. We got divorced, whatever. But if you, and I'm not saying he handled his marriage correctly or anything like that. If you want to change the world, it requires such tremendous dedication, so much focus, so much energy. There's really not room for much else.
Yeah. I would agree with that. And I think that's another part of what happens and how you get into that married roommate stage, because you're starting to live separate lives and one spouse is handling a portion of the household and the runnings of the day to day and other things. And you're so focused over here. It's very hard to pull that mind back out to come and focus in the house. So a couple of things of being married to someone that is an elite performer is there has to be a different conversation about what the rhythm looks like. There's no balance to it. Balance is a myth, right? But what does that rhythm for your relationship look like based on the season that you're in? Now, because some seasons will take that elite performer away, right? A lot more that it will not. Let's talk about baseball players, professional baseball players, for instance. They're gone a lot. And when they have little kids, their wife can't travel with them like they used to. So it's putting systems in place that works for them based on that season. So maybe baseball players play a couple games at night and then one in the afternoon, right? So when they're at home, we will put things in place to where they're sleeping in on the days that they have baseball games late at night, but that one in the afternoon, they're the ones getting up earlier and handling the kids so the wife can sleep in, right? It's just that small thing. If we can implement small things often, you can skip the whole married roommate stage and stay connected even in the busiest season. But it's being as intentional about what you do with your spouse as what you do with your workout program, your business, your profession.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got to be thoughtful, set a blueprint, and schedule.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then wives will say, I shouldn't have to be scheduled. Well, we can choose to either have what it is that we desire and we want, no matter how we get it, or we could choose to be picky about the fact that they have to schedule us because that's the way their brain works. So some of it's educating the spouse on the way that brain works that never stops. The one that's constantly going.
I would imagine, and again, push back on me. What the hell do I know? But, if you go back 10,000 years, the man probably did the hunting or the foraging or gathering, right? And I think about that, and I think about the movie The Godfather, or any movie where that family was going through a really rough economic time and had to do what they had to do. And the wife in that instance, or it doesn't have to be the wife, it could be whoever was home, taking care, making sure the house had food, heat, was prepared for a kid, right? Like there's very few complaints in those moments throughout history. I feel like you start to have these issues when we're doing really well as a family or a society. Like then there's a lot more time to sit around, and not that they're not valid thoughts, but they're like high-class problems. Am I making any sense or no?
No, I agree. Because back in the days, the hunters and the gatherers and all those things, you also had community, right? You had grandma and grandpa still growing up there. We were not a moving society. Everybody stayed in the same areas. You got aunts, uncles, cousins, and it was a community effort to raise children in the household. It wasn't just on one person. So I think there's that. But then also, when you start thriving and doing well and you have a little bit more time on your hands, elite performers don't know what to do with extra time on their hands. They're usually visionary. They're going to go create something else. They're going to strive to be better at what it is they're doing. They're going to study it. But what they don't do is say, I can be better at my marriage if I would just put these 5 things in place, because we tend to ignore what we're not good at when we're good at something really well.
I mean, I can't go to a beach. I just can't. I can't sit still. I can't waste time. I don't have that wiring. I just can't do it. Within the Spartan community, we should never say we can't, but it is very, very hard and unenjoyable to sit still.
And that's part of the problem. So does your spouse like to just sit on the beach and enjoy and read a book? Okay. And she wants you with her, right?
Of course.
So some of that is challenging yourself to do it a little bit different for her, but only partially. You are never going to be the person that goes and sits there with her all day long. But if you can make the intentional time that you are with her, where you're connecting with her, and whether that's touching her, talking to her, looking towards her, whatever that is, but you're going to be the one that's up walking the beach. You're going to be listening to something. You're going to be writing something. You can do those things that you do and you like to do, still sitting in that chair or up pacing, right? You may be the one throwing the football down with the kids or running into the water. The point is that you're there with them, but just letting her have her sitting time and talking to her about how that makes you feel, but you want her to have hers. And then trying to figure out how you can still do things that are stimulating to you while you're with them. And then every other day, it's an outing, at least for you and maybe the kids.
Yeah, what I would do is I'd go to the beach. Typically, I do 300 burpees next to them in the sand. I just feel like life is so short. I just don't want to waste it.
Yeah. And when you say that to your wife, I don't want to waste my time sitting there on the beach, that probably doesn't go over well. She will take that very personally. So it's rephrasing that as, I want to be here with you, but sitting still for me makes me feel like I'm going to come out of my skin. So while you sit and do that, I'm here with you, but I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Right now, you took her out of the situation and made it more about you.
Let's say you've handled 10,000 clients.
Yeah.
How many of them are able to make the shifts? Like be honest, right? Like, because I always say, look, you could read a book, you could listen to a podcast, you can go to a conference, you could meet a therapist, whatever. But like, unless you go do the hard work, not to sound full of ourselves with our races, but like the race forces you to crawl under barbed wire and like do hard things that are uncomfortable. You're really not going to change. But do you disagree with that? Do you see the change?
I think it's a mindset, right? You have to be wanting the change. Usually by the time somebody comes to me for their marriage, somebody's out the door already. So it is a hard road up. However, if that pain is bad enough for them to try it different, then I see change, right? Except we can get them out of the pain pretty quick with some basic things and start connecting again. And a lot of people will try to stop right there because they start seeing success and they think they've done it all. And I caution them and tell them, like, you have not even begun. Like, that was just your quick win to get you out of the stress. Now the work starts. So most of mine, and I do track this, and I owned a really large counseling center. We saw about 2,000 clients a week. And of those, about 60% were marriage. So at the counseling center, which wasn't all me counseling them, we had a 55% rate of couples staying together after 2 years of working with us.
Wow.
And that's pretty actually high in the counseling world. With me, I've seen about 300 couples over the years just working one-on-one with me in what I do now, which is counseling and coaching. I'm kind of the bridge between the two. I do it a little different. My rate's about 60%. So it's not a ton higher, but it is there. They have to want to do the work and get out of the blame game, take responsibility for themselves, realize their spouse isn't going to make them happy. It just depends on where they come in that mindset. I think, though, in the last 2 years, if I only tracked the last 2 years, and there was about 65 couples that I did this thing where I do counseling, but I also am a coach. So counselors are known for keeping you in the past, and you kind of talk about your past and your struggles, and they're not really good about taking you forward. They'll get you to a point of healing, but they don't really give you the skills to go forward. That drove me crazy. Coaches start here and now and go forward. They're not good about going to the past. So I started 2 years ago, a new thing and tracking it where I'm kind of this bridge. We're going to go back when you need it. We're not going to stay there, right? We're going to go dip our toe in right where we need it. But we're also going to figure out what skills we have to move you forward and get you to where you want to be. And I try to look at a holistic viewpoint of them, and we measure 10 domains. So how do we get you to where you want to be as fast as possible? Because when you work with elite performers, they don't want to waste their time, right? You just said that. They don't want to waste their time. So I will go in and customize exactly what they need and give them the roadmap. So I do it a little bit different. And then the other thing I didn't like about the counseling, and I sold my practice in December of 2022, is once a week, 45, 50 minutes. Sorry, come back. It's too slow for me. I hated that. And I believe that life doesn't happen just once a week in 45 minutes, right? You may leave and everything blow up on Wednesday. You got to wait another week. So these clients have access to me during the week, outside of their normal appointments. But what I have seen is my rate of happiness scale that we take when they come in and when they leave has jumped to 82% of the ones that stayed together. And I am at 70, I think it was 74% last time I looked last month, that stayed together over these 2 years.
When battling brutal Spartan obstacles over a mixture of muddy miles and tough terrain, starting off on the right foot means any foot protected by the lasting comfort and proven durability of Mud Gear socks. Mud Gear started equipping Spartans over 10 years ago, and since then, they've perfected the art of protecting your most valuable race day assets. From the way they fit, to the way they wick and drain moisture, to their strategic cushion and venting, Mud Gear socks are a must for any Spartan hoping to not just survive, but dominate the course. Endure longer and race stronger with Mud Gear socks that are made tougher, just like you. Shop Mud Gear at the Spartan store, at your next Spartan race, or right now at mudgear.com.
I have a theory on happiness. Tell me, push back on me. We all chase above the line. In other words, we want more than where we are today. Better house, better car, different marriage, whatever it may be. I think we got to go below the line. I think we have to remove things from our life. For example, you don't eat for 2 days and you get back to the line where you could have a meal. That's the best meal you've ever had because you haven't eaten for 2 days. You're pretty happy. When I haven't slept for days because I've been doing a race and I lay down in the gravel, I'm like, this is the greatest gravel I've ever slept on because I'm exhausted. We're chasing happiness, which is it's very elusive because we already have everything.
Yeah, and it is. So what we do is we bring them back to joy. Like, are you enjoying what you're doing? Like, you must enjoy something about these races and not sleeping for 3 days, because that seems like my version of hell. I'm just going to be honest. I have friends that do these Spartan races, and I am like, y'all are nuts. But, and then knowing like sleep was just removed. So yeah, we appreciate the gravel even more. So when we go back and look at joy and how we intentionally live, we also are asking ourselves, what are we doing to remember that the gravel is now what makes us happy? It isn't what's next or the next level. You're never going to reach happiness by what you do. So it's finding that joy inside. And a lot of people cannot answer the question, what brings you joy?
When I see a movie or read a book and I go back in time and I see like you're living in a cabin and you've got to chop wood to heat the cabin and you have like a minimum, that would bring me joy. Why am I so enamored with the minimal, like, and here I am dealing with all this stuff?
Well, I think because it's more simplistic, right? There's not as much energy having to go to all the stuff or all the things we've got to do. It's taking you out of all of those things and slowing you back down a little bit. You're probably more creative in that space. You probably have better ideas in that space, right? And you probably enjoy that. So I don't think there's anything wrong with you. I think it's actually pretty self-aware that slowing you down actually will drive you further faster.
Yeah, I like to say all the stuff you think you own owns you. You don't own it.
I like that. I haven't heard that, but I like it.
Yeah, because it requires energy. It requires work. It requires thought. You don't you don't really get anything from it. You have to give to it.
Absolutely. And it's like the junk in your house. Like I'm sitting here looking like earlier today, I was like, I really got to clean this because right now you probably can't see it, but there is a mess because I have been going at it for 2 weeks nonstop. And I'm like, if I can't get rid of this junk, I'm like going to, but it takes energy to clean it up. Right. And it was just that I didn't take the time to do it in the first place. So now it's going to take me more time to do it. But we do that often. And you're right, that energy sucks from our brain. So how can we, if we're trying to achieve at something, we're growing a business, we're doing a Spartan race, we are married, we have children, we have all these hats that we wear. How can we have the energy for the relationships or whatever it is that we desire and that we prioritize, right? How can we even have the energy when all these other little things are sucking it out? So we get very intentional about where we spend our time, what we're spending our time on, what we're purchasing. Like, why do we need the 10 cars in the driveway? Some people need it for the status and the identity, but really, do you 10 cars in maintenance? Like, you're probably hiring it out, but still, like, that is not something that's going to help your energy. It's going to suck it.
I agree. Less is more. I learned that in college. Where are you physically located?
I'm physically in Houston, Texas.
We have races down in Texas. I'd love to have you come out. You don't have to participate. And,
Thank you.
And people could talk to you.
I would love it.
I mean, we get 8,000 people down there. I'm sure there's folks that are dealing with stuff. You know, it'd be fun. Actually, this would be a lot of fun if you'd be willing. We could set up a tent. Imagine a 13-mile course.
Yeah.
And imagine 8,000 or 9,000 people going through that course. And at mile 10, they're broken. They're miserable. And they got to talk to Amy.
I would love it. That would be like my dream. I always said I wanted to be, like on the Peanuts, they set up that little hut and it's 25 cents to talk to them. I was like, I want to do that one day.
That would be so much fun and we could film it.
Oh, I would love that. You tell me where, I'll be there.
Amy's confessional. We could build like a booth.
I think it'd be great.
Well, you're
That's
awesome.
my jam.
How do people find you?
Right now, amywine.com. And then Amy Wine CO on social media. I also have a podcast called Couch Time with Amy Wine. And I have an app called Thrive Life TV that just came out.
We have a group I spoke to yesterday who feels the number one obstacle in the world is the couch. It draws people in, and some people just can't get up off the couch. So they're going to carry a couch through one of our races coming up, which I thought was
gosh.
Right? So
I love that.
Maybe we'll do that when the one we get you to in Houston. So shoot me an email if you don't mind, joe@spartan.com, joe@spartan.com, and I'll send you the schedule of Texas events, and you let me know if something works.
I will. I would love that. Thank you for having me.
Everybody can come down and meet Amy.
Yes, let's do it. That would be so much fun.
When battling brutal Spartan obstacles over a mixture of muddy miles and tough terrain, starting off on the right foot means any foot protected by the lasting comfort and proven durability of Mud Gear socks. Mud Gear started equipping Spartans over 10 years ago, and since then, they've perfected the art of protecting your most valuable race day assets. From the way they fit, to the way they wick and drain moisture, to their strategic cushion and venting, Mud Gear socks are a must for any Spartan hoping to not just survive, but dominate the course. Endure longer and race stronger with Mud Gear socks that are made tougher, just like you. Shop Mud Gear at the Spartan store, at your next Spartan race, or right now at mudgear.com.